Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this is a half-time Matchday Bulletin where I am joined by Laura Bradburn, Brian Degnan, and also our newest contributor, Ben Mead, who will give us an insight into Bristol City and their performance in that first half. I'll come to yourself first, Laura. What was your thoughts on that first 45?
I mean, Brian was just saying before we came on air when we were chatting there, and I do agree with it. So not to nick it too much off you, Brian, but it was a bit bitty in places. Certainly, it's certainly a bit scrappy, and you know, I don't think it was like the most scintillating football from either side. But you could see glimpses of passing moves being put together by Celtic. Certainly one thing I'm pleased about was the level of possession that we have. It was just the end product that we were looking for. Ajeti got a couple of touches on the ball and actually looks like he's looking to shoot whenever he does get a touch of the ball. He's got a decent first touch on him. I think his confidence looks up, but as I said, I think delivery was a problem, and that's probably partially down to Bristol City as much as it is due to our play. I think they're doing a good job of breaking things up and not allowing us to play the game that we want to play.
Good point, Laura. And I'm going to come to Brian here just to allay anybody's fears. This is 7-Up and not anything harder or stronger than that, even though I am recording this from my own abode, not the studio. One observation I made, Brian, was, and I think this has been the case in the 2.5 games we've seen under Ange, is that what he likes his centre-halves to do, especially when we're on the offensive, is to go wide right, wide left. You can see Welsh going left, you can see Urhoghide going right. And then you've got Bain, who was being referred to as Barkas for about half an hour, pushing into almost like a sweeper position, Sorrow coming back. And I think that's tremendous and that works really well. But as Laura said, what you require is good delivery. And in Ralston and Taylor, we don't have the fullbacks to offer that, do we?
No, actually, I think Ralston's usually a better crosser than he has been today. I think it's one of the things he has to keep up producing a good cross. But you're right. So it seems to be that they almost drop into a 3-4-3, and the fullbacks are actually wingers. But as you say, Taylor, see this in theory, this should suit Taylor because what he's not great at is beating people one-on-one. But with this formation, with the passing and moving, he doesn't really have to. But what he does have to do is have a finished product, and that's where he's lacking. Ralston the same. I think some of his delivery's been poor. Couple of other negatives just before I go into the positives of which I think there was many. Urhoghide looked better than he did last week or the other day.
Yeah.
Still looks nervous in possession. I'm concerned that if he's pressed, he'll panic. He doesn't look the most composed. However, he does look positionally a bit better, and he is a kind of bit of a specimen, so he should be able to handle the physical side. Sorrow, some of his passing was really poor, but what he offers in terms of his positional sense and his pace, the way he was almost putting counter-attacks off by making them think where he was blocking them, so I think that was a success. But as I was saying to Laura before we came on, I think in the 3 games, or the 2.5 games so far, you can kind of see what Postecoglou's trying to do, and I'm very excited by it. I think the real positives for me is the space Callum McGregor's getting.
Yeah.
To really be that real gliding class player that he was under Brendan Rodgers. I think Turnbull actually has been winning the ball back more than we thought he would have. I think one of the claims was he wasn't the type to win the ball back. I think he's been doing well with that. Ajeti and Welsh, I'm still think have been impressive in their own way. I think Ajeti's looked slim and looked hungry. And Dembele, before he got absolutely battered by the big Bristolian, looked good as well. So it was a bit disruptive towards about the 35-minute mark when the changes happened. But I think largely you've got to say this was a league game and we dominated so much. You would be fairly comfortable.
Yeah, I think if it was a normal competitive game, you would expect Celtic to stick to their guns and hopefully get the breakthrough. I'm going to ask yourself though, Ben, there was, I think, maybe 30-35 minutes of incessant pressure, but the best chance of the first half fell to Bristol City and you hit the post. What's your thoughts on that first half yourself?
I think Bristol City did defend quite well. Obviously, you can see what Celtic are trying to do and spread out to the wings and get crosses into like Ayer and your strikers. I think we have defended that quite well with not only our defenders but our midfielders coming back and helping that as well. And I think that was really the only chance Bristol City had. I think Celtic had a good few that went wide or over the bar, and that was Bristol City's only real chance. And obviously, it came from James's corner about 10 yards out, and Vyman just hit the post. And I think if Bristol City do want to push on and win this game, I think they in the second half, rather than sitting back and defend, I think we do need to push up again. Maybe use the likes of Palmer, Vyman, who else? Martin, and the wing backs as well, J.D. Silva, all of those sorts of players, and push on to attack a bit more, create a few more chances, and then hopefully that goal will come.
Mm-hmm. You know, Laura, when I look at that situation at centre half, it's been one of the biggest issues over the last season, certainly. You know, even just a simple set piece going into your centre half position, and we've been unable to deal with it. 2 points I would make about our two centre halves in that first half, Laura. Firstly, I think this goes back to a point Brian made before the game. I think Stephen Welsh looks really accomplished as a centre half. He doesn't panic under any kind of pressure. He's very comfortable on the ball. Distribution, long and short, I think is excellent. And alongside him, I actually thought that Urhoghide got a really hard time after his first appearance. Some people went and studs up on him, saying that he was really poor. I know it wasn't the best game in the world, but I don't think he's used to having so much possession. I don't think he's used to having the ball at his feet as much as he has done in a Celtic jersey. And I would say that he looked a lot more comfortable in the centre-half position in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, Brian will know from we were both on the match coverage the other day, and I was certainly quite negative about Urhoghide, but not as negative as some other people. Where I think there's certainly a player in there. I think probably is more suited to the centre back role than right back, and that's certainly proven to be the case. But going back to what you mentioned about the set pieces, as much as that's to do with the defence, like the 4 across the back or whatever, or 5 across the back, 3 across the back, whatever you're playing, I think part of our major issue with struggling with set pieces is we don't have a settled centre back partnership, and we don't have a settled goalkeeper. You rely on the goalkeeper to do a lot of the instructions setting up for a set piece, telling defenders who they should be picking up, setting up the wall, shouting for the ball when it comes into the box, and making clear whose responsibility it is to do what. And so having a cohesion between the defensive unit where that's done effectively takes a lot of time, a lot of practice, a lot of building of a relationship. So if we can't settle on a goalkeeper, and we can't settle on a centre back pairing, and we can't settle on those 3 things together, then, you know, I would imagine like those 3 players, whoever they are on any given day, try to communicate with each other in a situation like that are going to struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still a big concern. And I think, looking at that first half, including Barkas's injury, which threw the commentator a wee bit, we've got 3 injuries there, Brian. One of them, you're rolling your eyes, you're sighing because it's Mikey Johnston. He's injured again. The other one with Dembele, I thought it was a poor tackle, a very, very poor tackle in a friendly game, I've got to say, Ben, on young Dembele. And that was, for me, really unfortunate because he is a player that's excited. I think last season was almost a wasted year for him. You're looking for Dembele to make an impact, and then, unfortunately, he's injured. And then, going back to what Laura's just said there, we're trying to get a settled, even a central part of that defence, including the goalie. That triangle, the 2 centre-halves and the goalkeeper, and Barkas is injured. I mean, surely it's not going to be one of these seasons again.
No, I mean, I think maybe I'm wrong here, and if I'm wrong, so I'm almost 100%. Someone will tell me, but I think when Brendan Rodgers came in at first, there was a few injuries and niggles kind of pre-season as well. I think with the intensity of training, you're going to find wee niggles and bumps and stuff, because the way the players are playing, for the 3rd game of pre-season, they're looking very fit, very fast, very, very intense, and I can imagine training's the same. So I think these injuries are probably wee niggles that the players will get used to over the course. And well, as Big Ange says, they'll either get used to it or they won't, in which case they'll not be there. But yeah, the one with Karamoko was the one that sort of that angered me a wee bit, because I actually quite enjoyed the physicality of Bristol, because I think we need that. We need some of the players when they're playing that kind of flair football and possession. They need a bit. You know, they need to be. They're going to be playing some amount of hammer throws in the SPL or SPFL, so they need to know what it's like to get kicked and elbowed and nudged. But there's a line between a robust player and a slightly nastier one, and I think that was a very, very poor tackle on the young man. But before he did go off, I thought that he actually looked quite strong. I mean, I don't think he looks physically much bigger, but he was holding off tackles a bit, and he was dropping back, winning the ball back. So hopefully it's just a wee knock and it's a precaution, because he's someone that I'm really looking forward to this season, and I think fits the mould really well.
You know, that's interesting, because I remember him making his European debut away against Cluj, Brian, and comes on 16 years of age, the bright young thing. He got hammered, first involvement in the game, and we never saw him for the rest of the game. I think when you're looking at the stature of the boy, the size of him, he is going to be targeted. But like you say, he does look like a strong wee unit. I just hope that it's something that doesn't, follow him into the new season and into the Champions League. We're being informed by the Duda Bides that Baby Drago is incoming now. By saying Baby Drago, I think he's referring to Carol Starfelt, who, according to Fabrizio Romano today, here we go, he's signing for Celtic for €5 million. Ben, before we get back into the second half, indulge us a wee bit. Have you been impressed with any of the Celtic players in that first half?
I'm not sure what his name is, but the one on the left hand side, I think maybe number 12. I'll have a look now. But he's been getting the ball in a lot and putting the ball in, and he put a ball in. I think it might be for Aya that O'Leary just cleared away, but he's looked quite good. And before Dembele came off as well, as you said earlier, he's holding himself quite well in the midfield against the likes of King and James. Yeah,
no, that's interesting, because I think Dembele has been one of the most exciting prospects that Celtic fans have seen for years, but the wheels seem to have gone off that in the last season. It's great to see him back in the side. Laura, I think some Celtic fans thought he was gone. They'd lost him. He was going to do exactly as Okoflex had done and get a move elsewhere. It's brilliant to see him back in a Celtic jersey.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a kind of trend here with players who we thought were for the door, getting a second chance under Ange, if they show the determination, as Brian said earlier on tonight, the attitude and also the ability. We can't question Dembele's ability. Certainly his attitude's maybe been more questionable at times, but if we can get that sorted out, I think he can be a real sort of find for us this season, and he can maybe present something a little bit different to teams, certainly in Scotland and in Europe, if he's a bit of an unknown quantity for people.
Absolutely. We're going into the second half action where we will hopefully, I say hopefully, three of us are hoping that Celtic open the scoring and go on to win the game. We'll be back at full time to cover the entire match, and we will be joined by Colin Watt, who's went away and done something else at halftime. Not quite sure what he would rather be doing here. But we'll also be joined by Ben Mead, who'll give us all the takes on Bristol City, our opponents tonight. Thanks everybody for getting involved via Twitter, YouTube and Facebook. And thank you to Ben, Brian and Laura for joining me once again on A Celtic State of Mind.